Now smile in the camera. Stare at it. Hello, everybody. Welcome back.
Welcome back to Off Topic with Us. This is episode 3.
Yes, very exciting. I'm Alexa,
I'm Chantal.
and today we're going to be talking about mental health.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Let's get into this.
So I think we're going to start by giving just a little general overview of our personal mental health journey over the years. And I'll go first. So for me, honestly, I've always been the type of person to worry a lot. I worry a lot about things that honestly don't matter. Like things that in the grand scheme of things aren't that important, and I've always had that issue. And it sucks because it's not like a switch that I can just turn off.
Mm-hmm.
And Alexa and those people who are very close to me are a witness to how much my stress has affected me.
Yeah.
Physically
And mentally, well, of course.
Yeah. But for sure, I think it got a lot worse when I came to high school. There's just more responsibilities, more problems that I wasn't really aware of when I was younger. And it sucks because I feel like, not only is it recently, it's been so obvious to me because I get so frustrated with myself because I feel like my ability to remember things or understand things, focus, has really changed in a not so good way.
Mm-hmm.
And it worries me. Cause when I was younger, I did worry a lot. I was always the type of kid to worry a lot, but I didn't really see how it affected me physically until now. And this worries me for my future because I'm gonna be going to college soon, and I'll be living by myself, well, with Alexa, of course, but by ourselves in Flagstaff. And I don't know if it's it will get worse, and I'm still trying to find ways to work on my mental health, ways that work for me.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's kind of been me. What about you, Alexa?
Well, I mean, we're both similar in a lot of ways, and I think we're just big worriers. We worry about a lot of stuff. We worry about the future. We were worrying about college since freshman year.
Yeah.
We were what about scholarships? What about this?
Yeah.
What about financial aid?
Mm-hmm.
we were just big stressors, and they were it's way too early for that. Calm down. And we get scared so much about the future.
Mm-hmm.
We look too much into it where it's kind of dangerous, and we don't really focus on the present and what's going on right now, and celebrate our what would you say, our achievements right now. So yeah, I guess that we have in common. And I don't know, I just feel sometimes I get really sad for some reason. Everything is going well in my life, there's in my mind there's nothing I should be sad about, because I live a great life, everything about my life is good. There's just this I don't know, cloud over me sometimes, and it just feels so heavy. And I have friends around me, I have fun with them, I have my mom, we're a happy family. But there's just, I don't know, there's always just that little sad cloud, and it's just kind of there. But mostly that I feel I struggle with is anxiety, of course. Exams, anything important where I have to talk to people. Yeah. Social anxiety, I think is a big one. Anxiety overall is a big problem.
Yeah, and
situation.
I feel for you, well, I think it's in both of us, but I see it a lot in you. That you put a lot of pressure on yourself too.
Yeah.
Even if what you did was still good, if it wasn't great.
Yeah.
It's like there's still that like, oh, it could have done better.
Yeah, I like you said, I feel like I do pressure myself a lot. Like
And you're like so hard on yourself. So
like I write an essay and it's like I feel like it's not good enough. Like there's something missing. Like it's 100%, but I'm shooting for that 150, and if I don't get there, like I'm doomed for life. And that's how it feels. Like it feels like you're running and running and running like to reach somewhere, but like as soon as you get where you told yourself to get to the finish line, the finish line just went like 100 yards more farther.
Yeah. And I feel like our generation overall, and like generations that are going to come after, are going to have it really hard with anxiety. For a lot of, I mean, not just anxiety, but like depression.
Yeah.
And it's just because like that's the way our society kind of is right now.
Yeah.
And it's hard to really pinpoint exactly what's at fault for it, but I mean it's a lot of different factors, technology being one of them for sure. Yeah. Social anxiety is becoming like such a normal thing amongst our generation, and it's getting even worse in future generations. And I see that like in my little brothers. And it's so hard. Yeah. It's so hard. It's difficult, and it's sad for me as their sister to see them like struggling with it, because you know I love them and I care about them, and I would give anything for them to feel confident and comfortable with themselves, but it's a generational issue.
Yeah. And I feel like the main reason like why like I said like kids like us at our first generation is like I feel like families like that immigrate here don't really see that as an issue. Like, don't see mental health as an issue. Like, it's just kind of like, oh, get over it. Like, why are you embarrassed to talk to a person? Why are you, like, scared to do this? Like, just do it. Like, anxiety doesn't exist. That's just you being shy. Like, get rid of it, you know? And it's, like, not really seen as, like, a big problem. Like, especially in Hispanic families, they, like, kind of brush it off.
Yeah, and they get frustrated with you so fast. And it's, like, it's hard to explain that we are this way because we didn't grow up the way that they grew up.
They are much stronger. I feel like they are much stronger than we are. But like it was because of the way that we were raised. And like sometimes they get really frustrated and they're like, depression? What are you talking about? Just go outside, be happy. Yeah. And then it really isn't that way. That's not how it works. So like I feel like you feel really like isolated sometimes. Like you're just in your little bubble, and like no one really believes that whatever is going on in your head, and that makes you kind of go crazy sometimes, where it's like, why am I like this?
Yeah. And I like how you brought up the how our parents like are a lot stronger than we are, because that thought, that like me thinking about that used to torment me so much when I was younger, because I felt like it made me feel so incompetent, bro. Like I would feel like my mom was just this like super strong woman that I looked up to, but I always felt like I was just never gonna be like as strong as she was, or as capable as she was. And it just always made me feel like I was always like disappointing her.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean that really takes a blow to your mental health, to your self-esteem. I struggled a lot with confidence for the longest time, and I feel like maybe there was times where it wasn't as obvious, but I do struggle a lot with my confidence, if I'm being completely...
Yeah, I do too. Like, you can see me down the halls, you know, like, yeah, but like inside, like sometimes that confidence is like not even here.
And confidence is really like it's a big thing, because confidence can really like dictate how like successful you are in so many different things. Because if you're not sure of yourself, like nothing that you do is gonna be really like sure of itself, if that makes sense. But so to kind of guide today's episode, we also did prepare a couple of questions. Do you want to get into those?
Actually, I want to mention something before that. It's like a post that I saw. It sort of relates to what we were talking about. So it talks about how pain travels like through family until someone is ready to feel it. So that's a quote. Pain travels through families until someone is ready to feel it. Hold on, and let me read the rest. For many of us, our generational curse is avoidance. We come from people who just act like it didn't happen or doesn't happen. But pain demands to be felt, and somewhere along the line, a child will be born whose charge it is to feel it all. These are your okay, never mind, don't read that. You call them mental health patients and label their power as depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, and the like. But these are the ones are born with the gift of feeling. And as we all know, you can't heal the pain that you refuse to feel. And I don't know. What do you think of that?
That's deep.
Yeah, I read it and I was like,
And I think I was gonna touch on that actually, how like pain really is like transferred from generation to generation. I know personally a lot of the things that I see are wrong, or not wrong, but things that I struggle with a lot with my mental health come from my mom. A lot of them come like me worrying a lot or stressing a lot, putting pressure on myself. Like I know a lot of those things come from what I saw in my mom as a kid. So I felt like I could really relate to that. But that idea, or concept of really feeling your pain through to in order to like heal it, I think that's powerful.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good to think of pain that way, as a way to like heal through it, because especially I feel like in our culture, when we are in pain or we do feel like we are going through it with our mental health, a lot of the time it's not seen as us being strong, it's seen as us being weak.
Yeah, because like I said, many of them, like it also says on there, don't believe it's a real thing, like they brush it off. But it is very much real, and like it's happening like to a lot of our generation, like currently right now, a lot of anxiety attacks, panic attacks, and like they just kind of question like why are you this way, like none of our own family members like older right have this, like why do you have it, so yeah. All right, now let's get into the questions.
Okay, so should we start with yours or mine?
You can start first.
Okay. So I guess these questions are kind of for both of us.
Yeah.
But so my first one is, how have you changed since you were a little kid? And do you think that change is associated with your mental health declining or getting better as you got older? So like basically like how have you like your mental health, how exactly have you seen it change or progress or get better or worse since you were younger?
Well, I'd say like since I was a kid, well maybe like starting like 2nd, 3rd grade is when I started being aware of my grades and how important they were, I guess. Well, they weren't really that important, but like, they dictated, whether you were a good student or a bad student.
Yeah.
So I guess like since there, my anxiety started. It was like, the pressure is real. Like I need to focus. I need to show my parent these excellent grades to show that I am capable, that I can do anything. And so I'd say it started there, but when it like really started like hitting bad was like in like middle school. I want to say like 6th, 7th, 8th, because that's when they tell you like you got to get good grades to go to a good high school and like everything. And when it like really really got bad, I want to say is like sophomore year. Yeah, the year
with the pandemic.
Yeah, with the pandemic, the quarantine year. That's when like mental health was like down, like really bad. And now we're working with it. We're looking for solutions. I guess better ways to like handle it, and I guess get a grasp of why I'm feeling a certain way, and how to like improve it in a way.
Yeah, and going back to what you said about being aware of your grade, I feel like that's something that really isn't talked about enough, and people aren't aware of how impactful it is when students or children that young, like second and third grade, really start um, associating their identity or their self-worth by the grades that they get.
Yeah.
Because that can be like really trauma inducing for a little kid.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when your parents put so much pressure on you to get good grades. And if you
Yeah.
get like, even if it's like a B, right, which is still a good grade, but if you really like make that a factor of what determines your self-worth or your identity, it can be super anxiety inducing and
Yeah.
unhealthy, because a lot of people will think, oh, I have a failing grade in this class, that means I'm dumb.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and nobody should ever feel that way because of a letter grade or feel that kind of pressure, because school is important, okay? It's important, but it shouldn't affect you that much as a person.
Yeah. Because, like, you see, like, examples that we have, like, Einstein, I'm pretty sure he failed, like, 2 or 3 classes now.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, he was the greatest scientist out there. And it's like, whoa, like, just because you have...
My boy Albert.
Yeah. Just because he had, like, great, like, horrible grades, didn't mean, you know, he wasn't capable of doing these, like, other great achievements.
And it's because like that's the beautiful thing about the mind. Like everybody's mind is so different. It's so unique. It works and it sees things differently. And our education should really be focused on enhancing the things that we're the strongest at, to make us, you know, our contributions to society that much more unique and that much more powerful.
Yeah.
But you know, the current education system is very much like, here's the cookie cutter.
Yeah.
You have to fit it. You have to be good at it.
Yeah, you have to be the model citizen.
Yeah.
And it's very scary when you think about it that way. Like, we're being trained, and, like, the way schools are, like, you know, like, the schedules and everything, it literally resembles a prison. Where they're, like, just trying to make everybody follow the same set of rules, follow the same curriculum. And, like, I feel like it sucks for teachers especially, because they can't really be creative with anything that they're given. Like, it's set rules they have to follow, and if they break any of them, it's like, you cannot teach no more.
Yeah, they could get in trouble for it, and that's wild.
Yeah, because, like, I think about it, you know, today, like, all the teachers I've had, you know, like, throughout my education as of right now, and those teachers that were creative and, you know, expressed themselves and expressed, you know, use their way of teaching in a different way, were really the teachers where I learned the most from. The teachers that followed, you know, the handbook, the textbook that they were given, followed, you know, most of the protocols, that weren't creative with anything, are the classes that, you know, were the most boring to me. The ones that I didn't really understand what was going on in.
Yeah. And again, I think it also kind of boils down to just this generation being more like hands-on and visual learners, and the people and, you know, older generations, maybe textbooks like worked for them, right? Because, and it's like there's scientific studies to back it up, how like newer generations have like lower attention spans, and that makes it really difficult for them to function in a textbook educational environment. Whereas, you know, these newer generations need to see things more visually, more like hands-on. And yeah, it sucks that the current system that's in place hasn't really done anything to adjust to that, when like the studies are there, you know. But I think for me also, I started really being aware of, you know, my anxiety and my mental health started kind of spiraling when I was I want to say like 3rd grade. For me, though, it wasn't really, like, with my grades right away. I think I really started stressing about my grades when I was in, like, maybe, like, 8th grade. But before that, I think a lot of my anxiety and depression and, like, troubles with confidence came from me just wanting to fit in. And you could see it a lot with, like, I know in previous episode I talked about my old friend groups. And just with them, like, I always felt this certain pressure to need to fit in, to be cool, I guess, whatever that means.
You are cool, what do you mean?
Whatever that means. And it gives me the ick now, because, I mean, I don't those things aren't, like, it isn't important to me anymore. I don't care about it. But back then, like, that was my whole world. You know, I would look at, like, people with, like, cool hair and be like, oh my gosh, I need to do that too.
Hey, I still remember when you had the purple hair.
Yeah.
It actually looked cool though. Like, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People always give me such weird looks when I go, guys, I had purple hair. Like, I feel like they're, like, picturing, like, the purple minions or something. Like, guys, that's not what it was. Yeah. That's not what it was, okay? And then I had, like pink, like, highlights in my hair at one point. Were you in a car right when that happened?
When was that?
I literally had pink highlights glued into my hair, guys.
Oh wait, no, I wasn't there yet.
Yeah, guys, I was giving rip-off Brad Stall, but I'm not gonna talk about it. And yeah, I think a lot of my anxiety just came from, like, the pressure to really want to fit in, and be accepted. And I think that's where it starts for most kids at that age.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, my anxiety really translated towards my grades when I got a little older, and I was like, okay, you know, I mean, I want to go to college at one point, and I always felt like I was 10 miles down the road from everybody else. Like, I would see people who had all their stuff figured out, or who I thought had all their stuff figured out. You know, I feel like nobody really has everything figured out. But to me, it looked like, wow, like, these people, they have everything in place. They know where they want to go. They know what they're doing. They have their path laid out. And I'm nowhere near that. Mm-hmm. And that was really, like, a blow to my self-esteem. Mm-hmm. And yeah. But this question actually has a second part to it.
Okay.
So the other part was, so that change that you've seen from when you were a kid till now, what do you think that means for you in the future? Like, do you think what you've seen, this change that you've seen up until now, is going to get even worse for you in the future? Or
well, I really hope not. Yeah. I think right now, you know, I'm doing a pretty good job, like, you know, handling it, controlling it. Mm-hmm. I think perhaps, you know, maybe in the future, you know, once I get a good stable job, probably will, like, go to a therapist. I feel like that's, you know, a good healthy step for anybody. I've always heard people say, you know, like, everybody should have a therapist, you know, like, just have someone to talk to you, like, well, someone to listen to you. Of course, like, you're there, but I also don't want to, like, throw a whole bunch of stuff at you while you're not emotionally available, right? And, like, you know, I feel like if you talk to someone who, you know, you don't really,
where there's, like, no strings attached.
Yeah, where there's, what you said.
Yeah.
Where, like, you know, they're just there, and they kind of help you from a different perspective. You know, because, like, you can tell me something, but it's like, I already know you, this is how you're gonna think, and, you know, like, maybe what your perspective won't help me, but their perspective is different, and it's, like, more eye-opening. It's like, oh, I would have thought of that.
Yeah, and it's always good, like, it's always, it's honestly, it's a sign of strength to ask for help. And again, like you said, I feel like me and you are too similar. And we struggle with the same things. So it's like, why would I ask somebody with the same problem?
It's like, I don't know. What are you gonna do? Tell me.
It's like literally nothing, bro. Like,
the same.
Yeah. Let's suffer in silence together.
Yay! Let's go.
Like, yeah. Oh my god.
It's because we actually do that, guys.
I know. Es que no es bromis.
Yeah, it's not a joke. We actually talk about it sometimes, and it's like, oh, guess we're in the same spot.
Like, I remember we had, like, a full-blown, like, almost 2-hour conversation about how we could not be therapists.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That was a good conversation.
Yeah, and then it segued to mental health, and then that segued into, what is it? That was the last topic that we talked about.
I don't remember, man.
I forgot, but it was like a 2-hour long conversation. By the end of that conversation, we were, like, exhausted.
Yeah, but, like, good exhausted.
Yeah, it was like, wow, this is a good conversation, but, like, I'm tired. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, it's called Off Topic with us for a reason.
Yeah.
Okay, my second question. What things do you struggle with now that you used to be good at? And why do you think that is?
Hmm. Okay, maybe you can go first on it. I need to think about this.
Okay. I don't know if you remember this one video I showed you of when I was a little kid in Mexico.
Oh.
And so context, in Mexico, every year during like graduation time, they'll have like, I guess you could call it's not really like a festival, but the graduating grades will get together and they'll make like performances for all the parents and the teachers. And it's just something that like everybody looks forward to when graduation time comes around. And because it's during the summer, I would always be in Mexico during that time. And all my friends were always like graduating and going to practices and being in the dances. And as a little kid, I always wanted to do it with them, but sometimes they wouldn't let me because I didn't go to school in Mexico. And other times it was just because most of my friends were older than me, and I was just too young, because it's like they do it by grade level, right? So it's like, oh, everybody who's graduating 6th grade is going to do this performance and stuff like that. And because all my friends are older, like I didn't fit the age criteria. So they'd never let me until like later on in the future. But I remember, and there's a video of me when I was I was probably like, I want to say like 4. like 4. And my friends were starting their performance, and there's like this old like VHS tape of me absolutely bombing their performance in front of everyone. Like there was people all over the little I think they did it on a basketball court. There was people all around the court laughing so hard at me. And I did not give a care in the world, bro. Like I was the star of that show. I was the main character for real. They were all my backup dancers, bro.
You were Rihanna.
Yeah, I was Rihanna.
You were the Rihanna, and the other kids with the white marshmallows just
No, yeah, but I did not give a care in the world, and you can see it in the video. Like I was just living my best life, man. Like they were doing their dance, and like I would like watch them for a bit. I'm like, okay, I got this. Gonna kick this way and kick that way. And like I look back at that now, and I'm like, wow, like me right now would never, ever, ever, ever in a million years, like you could not pay me enough money for me to do something like that now. And it makes me kind of sad because I want to be that little girl again. You know, that little girl who just doesn't care and can bomb a dance party and not be sorry about it. And everybody was just like laughing, but like it was so pure.
Yeah.
You know?
And I feel like that goes for a lot of little kids, because like as we're little, we're innocent, like we don't really know why they're laughing, you know, like, well, you know, they're laughing at you, but you know it's not with bad intention. Like, you know, they're having a good time, you're having a good time. So it's like just joy everywhere, you know. And like as you get older, and like things like self-doubt and like judgmental people, and like, you know, they're laughing at you but with bad intention, it's like, you know,
you become like so self-aware, and not in a good way.
So I think like as kids in general, like we lose a little bit of that. Like as we grow older, we start to like you said, become self-aware and start becoming more scared of like what we do.
And it's so sad that like society does that to you. You know,
because I feel like sometimes kids like have so much potential, like so much, but as soon as they grow up, like they lose confidence in themselves. So I'd say like something similar to you, like, you know, as well, like losing that little spark.
They really do.
Yeah,
they really do,
and especially when like parents like tell you like you're so shy, you know, like something like that, and it's like it's not really like, I feel like shy is not a good term to put when like you just really don't want to do something. Because like there's a difference between being shy and not like being willing to do something just because you don't want to. And parents like putting that word onto kids, like labeling them like as shy, like does something to that kid. And it's like, oh, this is my role now, so I shall not do anything else because I'm labeled as shy.
And it's true, like parents really be making you feel so, when they speak to you like that, they make you feel so useless, like so incompetent. And when your child accepts that, like that's an issue. It's an issue, and it's something that will affect them their whole life.
Yeah, and it's really to like get out of that mindset. Like it's so easy to like, I'm now labeled as this, now I shall become this, and everything, around me is gonna revolve around this, this concept. But once you're in there, it's so hard to grow as an individual and like actually reach out for like different things. I don't know if that makes sense. Like,
and it affects you more than people realize, because like not only does it mean that you yourself won't see yourself as having the potential that you truly have, but it'll be reflected in the things that you choose for yourself. Like if your self-worth is, oh, I'm incompetent because I'm not good at this, I can't do this, I've been told I can't do this, and you really accept that, like your self-worth is gonna be reflected in it. And the things that you accept and choose for yourself, like you can see it in maybe like relationships, that you think you're worthy of, when in reality, like, you're worth so much more. But you accept them because that's what you think you're worth.
Yup.
And that's sad. That's sad because it's everybody else who made you think that about yourself. But anyways, question number 3. I guess this one kind of ties into the thing you read off earlier. So it was, do you think your mental health habits come from your parents and other family? And then, are you ever scared that your mental health habits will transfer to your family in the future?
Well, I mean, me personally, as of right now, I don't plan on having, kids or anything. So, like, passing it down to children, not really. But if I were to have kids, like, I'd be sure, like, for me, myself, to be mentally stable, to raise a child. Because I feel like many generations now are having kids at a very, very, very young age, where they're, like, emotionally
inexperienced.
Yes. And they just don't know a lot about what's going on right now. And I think a lot of the stuff does transfer to the kids. Like we've talked, like we feel like a lot of our situations, problems come from our parents, from stuff they stress about. Like many who come from like underfunded communities, like a lot of parents stress about like financial stuff. And so that comes to us, and it's like, oh, I gotta help my parents because they're stressing about paying bills, they're stressed about paying the rent, so I have to worry about that too. And it's at a very, very, very young age. So I feel like parents need to know, like, what they're really getting into, because raising a child is a lot of work. It's a lot of work because it's another human being. Like it's, I don't know, it's just wild to me. The whole process of creating a baby, creating a child is just, it's mind-blowing.
It is.
I this is off topic, but I read that like when you're like having a baby inside of you, like all your organs basically like move around and make space for the baby, right? So your like stomach ends up being like where your chest is, like around this area. Yeah, like it moves that much, and I was like, oh my god. This is why no thank you. Maybe adopt a child. I will adopt a child but not have one.
I didn't know they moved that much.
Yeah,
like, I knew they moved, but I didn't know it was that much.
Yeah, well, it depends on the house, how big the size of the baby is, right? But yeah, like I was watching like a video, and it like showed you how like the baby grew, and then the stomach and like the other organs were just like moving around, and I was just like, this is why they're in pain a lot. And I was like, so much respect for women. Wow. But anyways, your turn.
So I mean, I mentioned it earlier. I do think that a huge part of the way I am, the things I stress about, the things that worry me, come from my mom. And like Alexa said, a lot of that was like financial. For most of my childhood, I was raised by a single mom too. It was just me, my mom, and my older brother and my grandma, who was also like a single woman, my grandma. And they worried a lot about, obviously, like financial stuff too. And Like, my mom worked so much, so much, and I respect her and admire her so much for it, because, like, she was a single woman who brought me, my grandma, my brother. Like, she provided for all of us, for a really long time. She did that all by herself, and I have so much respect for her for it. But I mean, I saw, like, I was little, I was young, and I could tell she didn't notice that I would notice.
Yeah, that's one of the big things too. Like, as a little kid, you see everything. Like,
Yeah.
little kids, like, you as a parent, you have no personal space. Like, if I'm being honest, you don't have personal space.
That is true.
Kids are, like, everywhere, and they're watching you, and it's low-key kind of scary. And they see what you're dealing with. They see that you're stressed. Like, even now, as, like, I guess adults, technically adults now.
Yeah. Oh my God,
yeah, we're
guys.
18 or whatever. Like, you get scared to ask your parent, like, permission to go somewhere, because you know they're mad. You can tell from the way they're acting, the way they're the vibe around
you can
there.
tell when they're not in a good mood. Like, the minute they wake up and, like, walk by you, you know.
Yeah. And you know, as their child, you know, like, you grew up with them, you know, so you know the way they act, the way they talk, their tone of voice. You know where they're mad or, like, just not like good to talk to you, you know. So you know not to ask permission to go to the mall that day. You ask, like, 2 hours later.
Yeah. And did you ever
no.
yeah, and, like, I remember when I was younger, like, I caught my mom, like, crying a couple of times. And sometimes I knew why, and sometimes I didn't really know why, but I knew, like, she wasn't feeling good. And now that I'm older, technically an adult, gonna move out soon, I carry those worries with me too. You know, like, I got a job as soon as my mom, like, allowed me to, for the same reason. Like, I felt bad asking her for money to do certain things. And again, it was just that incessant obsessive worrying about my future, where I just felt like I couldn't get ahead enough. And right now I have very little free time as is, but I'm comfortable this way because I know I'm doing what I can right now to get ahead for my future. And having that security, knowing that I'm doing all of this for a reason, brings me security, because that's something that I worry a lot about.
Yeah.
You know, and I've held 2 jobs for, like, over a year now. And that's something that I do because it's one of the things I worry a lot about. And that's my way of coping with it. It's getting ahead, you know, and doing what I can. And sometimes it's not healthy. And I know that. I know that, but it's so hard, because, like, the minute you stop, you get into that cycle again where it's like, oh my gosh, I'm wasting so much time. Like, you're this other person, they're out there, like, working and doing something for themselves, and I need to get off my and go, you know. But that is one thing that really scares me, because I know what I saw in my mom. And my mom, being as strong as a woman that she is, like, I don't know if I'm gonna have her same strength when I have my kids, because I do want kids. I want kids at one point, and I don't know if I'm gonna deal with things as well as my mom did with the same strength. And I don't know if my kids are gonna notice it in me as much as I noticed it in my mom. And I don't want them to struggle or have anxiety or you know, any, like, I want them to enjoy their childhood.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's any parent would love to put their child in a little bubble and, you know, give them a perfect life.
Yeah.
But the world out there is scary and ugly. And honestly, that's one thing that I also worry about. And that I think a lot about when it comes to having kids, because I'm like, it gives me anxiety how messed up our world is, and how future generations, you know, kids, like, I look at my niece, you know, these innocent little babies who have done nothing wrong, have no idea how messed up the world is.
And how it's getting, like, right now with a lot of,
Mm-hmm.
like, school shootings, you know, pollution, car crashes, everything around us is just, like, getting worse. And then it's scary for, you know, a part of myself. It's like, you know, it's kind of up to us, you know, now. Like, you know, we got to solve this. We got to find solutions to all of this going around us. But at the same time, it's like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
Like, how am I?
Yeah, because you're just one person.
Yeah, how am I 4'11" gonna change the world?
Oh my gosh. 1 inch at a time.
1 inch at a time.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it is super scary, and that gives me a lot of anxiety, because I mean it just feels like things are getting worse and worse.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember feeling that way so much during the pandemic,
Yeah.
because like you just really didn't know what was gonna come next. Like it really just felt like you were a character in a really bad movie.
Yeah. At some point they said they're aliens, and then we're like,
Yeah.
you gotta be kidding me. That's real. That's not real, right?
Yeah. But yeah, that's one thing that I find myself worrying about. Future generations, the people that I will love and care about the most, and just like I'm just always gonna be worried about them growing up in a world like ours.
Mm-hmm.
But to move on to your questions.
Okay. Alrighty then.
I think we have like 2 minutes.
Okay. Oops. Okay. Question 1. Have you experienced any physical symptoms such as headaches, fatigue, or stomach problems that may be related to your mental health?
Oh my god, girly pop, let me tell you.
Touches her hair.
Runs head through thinning hair.
If you haven't noticed.
Guys, I know if y'all haven't noticed, your boy's balding. Yeah, no, it's like I laugh, but it's actually something that makes me so sad.
Yeah.
But yeah, honestly, check all the boxes, bro. Like they're all here. But what about you? What have you seen in yourself?
Definitely, I think like when I have anxiety, like my whole body just like goes into like survival mode. Like I've heard that like, you know, when you have like cold feet or cold hands, it's because like your like blood isn't running to those places, and it's because your body is like, we're in danger, like this is why you're cold. And so like you know this, like I'm a very, very cold person. Like some days like I'm warm right now, like you know, but like any other time of day it's like boom, I'm freezing. Like like it could be hot, you're cold right now. But yeah, I feel like that happens a lot where like my hands get really, really cold. Like inside my body I'm fine, right? My hands and like feet get really, really cold. And then hair loss was a problem too. Also related to mental health, I feel like I didn't take care of like my eating habits. Like that one point where, you know, I went to the hospital and like, you know, I was iron deficiency. Let's go.
Anemic bros.
Yes. I feel like that's also has like a lot to do with mental health, where like you just kind of stop taking care of yourself, and like you're just like, it's fine. It's fine. And then until you end up in the hospital and they're like, you're not fine. You're like this close to like not making it. Yeah, and it's like, ooh.
It goes back to that mentality of it's fine as long as I'm the only one feeling it. You know, as long as I'm the only one suffering right now, it's fine. I can handle it.
Yeah. But you're not the only one. Like people around you are also kind of suffering.
About you and suffering in their own way.
Yeah. So take care of you guys. Take care of you. What? I glitched out, guys. You understand what I'm at. Question 2. Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did, Sit Lolly. Have you ever felt disconnected from reality? Whoa. It's all a simulation.
It's all a simulation. Alexa's a bot, guys.
I'm not. There are other people
Bro, they
where
be reading bot energy.
Yeah.
They be
I'm so sorry.
Sims character. I think what? Oh, technical difficulties. Okay,
Oh,
we're fine.
we're fine.
Okay, what do you mean by disconnected from reality?
Like, there are days where, like, you're, like, on autopilot, and, like, you just don't really know what's going around you, and you're just kind of trying to make it out, like, day by day. And you're just, like, everything's, like, your eyes are still, and, like, everything's just passing through you. Like a movie. But, like, you're not really grasping anything that's going on, and you're just, like, you know? I'm sorry. It's because that's how I like how I describe, like, how I see it.
Yeah,
like,
I get you.
Yeah, I'm a very visual person.
You Gen Z. No, I get what you're saying though. I think for sure, and I think for me it's when my focus is really bad, like on those days where I cannot focus on anything. I get so frustrated with myself, and it gets to a point where, like, my mind and everything in me just, like, turns off, and I just kind of, like, I exist in a space where I have no idea what the heck is going on around me.
Yeah, that's how I feel sometimes. So I just want to ask you.
Yeah,
exactly what I just demonstrated right now. That's what's going on, like, sometimes, especially like this year, where it's like the days have just gone so fast. Like, I haven't been able to, like, grasp, like, I know what's going on, like, you know, around the world, like, to me, right? But everything just, like, zooming past, and it's like, whoa, give me a moment to catch my breath. Yeah. All right, other question. What role does your past play in your mental health, and how do you work through any unresolved trauma or emotional wounds?
Well, I think we've kind of talked about, like, our past,
Yeah.
and you know, the way it's affected our mental health, but how I deal with it. I think it depends on the issue, because there are some issues that I like to face very hands-on, very head-on, and, like, oh, I'm worried about money, let me get 2 jobs, you know. But there are other things that I just I put myself in denial. Like, when I really get frustrated with myself, or I get headaches, or my eating habits are bad, it's just like, that's fine, I'll just eat tomorrow. You know. Which is not a way to cope with it. I think that was what you asked, right? How do I cope with it? And honestly, if I'm being really honest with you, like, I don't think I figured that out yet.
Yeah. I don't think I have figured out either. Like, I feel like sometimes, like, I just have so much, like, going on through my head, and, like, I guess my solution, you know, which isn't good at all, is, like, I go to bed, right, and it's like I'm not feeling very tired, so, you know, I start thinking about problems I have, you know, and that stresses me out. So my way is, like, distracting myself, like, by going, like, on YouTube, Netflix, TikTok, and, you know, just, like, scrolling until, like, I eventually fall asleep, because you know, like, then I don't have to think about, you know, that anxiety or other stuff revolving around me. And, you know, I just kind of, like, distract myself until, like, my brain, like, can't hold anything, and just
I think that's what a lot of people do.
Yeah.
And then it's not healthy at all.
It's not healthy, guys.
For
so
sure.
Don't do that. But yeah, those were my questions. And I think we're gonna cut it there. Unless you have anything to add.
No, I think, yeah, school's almost out, guys. We got like 3 minutes. But again, I hope that something that we said today resonated with you guys, and just know that, you know, your problems are valid. Like I mentioned before. Your struggles are valid, and know that a lot of the time the way that you're feeling, like, it's not you. it's the way that the world is, and it's the way that the world makes you think things are. But the power is really in your hands.
Yeah, well, our hands, and future generations watching, you know, like, you know, it's up to you to look for those healthy coping skills. Talk to people, therapists, you know, like, look for help. Like, you know, like, sometimes it, like you said, it seems like a weakness, but it's really not. Like, you know, you're getting stronger, you're growing as an individual.
Mm-hmm. And I think one of the morals of today's episode, the moral of the story is to just be conscious and be kind. Because a lot of what you say and what you make people think about themselves affect those people and society a lot more than you know.
Yeah.
So if we all plant good seeds, then we're gonna reap good harvests.
Yeah.
That's how that one saying goes. But I think that's it for today, guys.
Yes.
Thank you guys for listening.
Yes, and we'll see you next time.
Yes. Bye, guys.
Bye.